I just want us to start by getting some vocab down. So a ratio to start off with. We looked at that a little bit on Tuesday. It is a comparison between two quantities. Comparison between two quantities. So like in the examples we saw, boys to girls, comparison between two quantities. A rate is, it's a type of ratio, but it's a ratio that compares two different units. So we were talking about miles per hour, or we saw clicks per second with the bots. That would be a rate. Now a unit rate is a type of rate that has a denominator of 1. Denominator of 1. So when we divide our ratios or our rates, that's how we get our unit rate, because it gets a denominator of 1. And a proportion are just two ratios that are equal to each other. Equal to each other. So we saw today in class solving proportions, doing cross multiplying, and then solving for the variable. We want to do the same thing with word problems, but with word problems, what's going to happen is we have to set up the proportion first, and then you just solve by however you want to. So the first thing we're going to do is always set up a ratio using words. Whatever the units are that we're talking about, we want to just write them in word form under fraction so we don't get confused what goes where. This is a really important step. Next, you're going to set up the proportion using 3 numbers and 1 variable. You should always have 3 numbers and 1 variable. And then make sure you match the numbers and the variable to the words. And we'll look at what that means when we go through this example. And then you're going to solve. This says any of the 3 methods, but we only talked about 2, so I'm going to say solve the proportion using any of the 2 methods, because I decided not to look at the 3rd one. And then write your answer, ensuring you have the appropriate units. You should always do that with word problems. So if we look at this one, the ratio of boys to girls in Mr. Tolentino's class is 6 to 4. There are 20 girls in the class. How many boys are in the class? So notice, first let's just figure out what we're comparing. We're comparing boys and girls. So that's what it means by set up a ratio using words. We're talking about boys and girls. And it'll give us 2 ratios. The first one, they say right away, is 6 to 4. So that means 6 boys for every 4 girls. Notice how we put boys on top when we wrote our words. So that means 6 has to go on top because 6 correlates with the boys. And then 4. Now it says there are 20 girls, and we have to figure out how many boys there are. Well, 20 girls, that's going to be part of our next fraction, and it's going to go on the bottom because notice how our words have girls on bottom. So our 20 has to be on the bottom. This is what it means by matching up with the words. Girls will always go on the bottom, boys will always go on the top if we set up this fraction this way. You could also set it up the other way and flip it. So 20 girls, so that goes on the bottom, and we have to figure out how many boys there are. So since we don't know, we can just put a variable. I'll put B for boys. Now you solve this just like we were doing in class today, however you want. If you want to set it up and do 6, 4, B, 20, we know 4 times 5 equals 20, so 6 times 5 has to be the top. Or you can cross multiply. So if I'm just going to set it up over here, both will get the same answer. So cross multiply, 6 times 20 gives us 120. B times 4 is just 4B. Divide by 4. We get B equals 30, which would give us the same thing here. 6 times 5 is 30. So either way, we know B is 30, and we want to put the right unit. So our final answer will be 30 boys, because we're answering the question, how many boys are in the class? There are 30 boys in the class. And then make sure this and the ones from last night get put in your notebook. This, since it's only one side, you can just go ahead and fold it in half. If you want to keep the top open so you can kind of see what it is, you can. So fold it like that. And then what you can do is go to your next pages and just glue it in. Glue it on whichever side you like better. I'm gluing it on this side in mine, so glue it. And then you can just open it and always see your notes in there. And then I went through and I did the same thing for last night. My notes are there. I did it backwards, but and then the night before, my notes are there. And then just make sure your table of contents is up to date. So unit rates and solving proportions from last night, and then word problem proportions. So your table of contents should look like this as well. All right, awesome. Thank you.